looks like it's finally time for yet another iconic Come Dungeon Gaming Dead Rising challenge. The undead poop has hit the fan once again, splattering all over the town of Los Perdidos. Within 3 days, a soul infection turned this massive town into a massive grave. Hell on earth, people being eaten alive, bees glowing red with Christmas power, same thing we've seen in the last 2 games. As always, it's time for a hero to rise up to the challenge. Who else can take care of this but 2-time Outbreak survivor and incel trap star? Enter stage left is the one, the only, Frank. Wow! The fuck is this Nick guy? Where the hell's Frank? Wait, hold up. I remember we got a letter the other day when I bought this game from Capcom. Let's see here. We apologize for the absence of Frank West. He could not make it as he is currently indisposed. Please accept new protagonist Nick Ramos in his stead. Attached is his resume. Love, Capcom Vancouver. Alright then, well, let's take a look at Nick's credentials as he struggles in this dark tunnel. Let's see here. Okay, he has a bachelor's in automotive technology from Loco Luis's Garage of Knowledge. And he got a full ride scholarship due to grants from the Dreamers and First Gen Fund. There's a lot of work to be done here. Well, let's kick this challenge off by setting the rules we'll be following for this playthrough. 1. No combo. Nasty, dude. Did he just eat that bagel off the floor? Anyways, we're not going to be using any combo weapons because, to be honest, whatever nonsense Nick will put together will likely be too dangerous to use. Crafting them to progress a mission will be allowed and will be followed up on later, but if we do that, we're not going to be touching anything longer than we have to. Number 2, no vehicles. The resume here indicates that he must be provided transportation, so I'm going to assume that he doesn't have his driver's license. As a law-abiding citizen, I cannot allow this man to drive without a license. Combo vehicles are also prohibited, -1 instance later, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Number 3, the game must be completed in Nightmare mode. It's a harder version of the base game with tougher enemies and a much more punishing time limit. We'll see if our little Tinks friend here is worthy of being a Dead Rising protagonist through a trial by fire. Number 4, as always, we're going to have to defeat every psycho in this godforsaken city. This is the last game in the series at the moment with psychos, and by God I will enjoy these for the final time. Number 5, some unknown entity has left statues of everybody's favorite photojournalist all over town. It's up to Nick to find all 70 of them to use in a dark magic ritual to siphon an inkling of Frank's power. And number 6, as always, we're going to complete the main story and achieve ending S. I've got to figure out what cuckoo crazy twists and turns this story's gonna go through. With our stipulations set, let's check back on Nick and see what he's... Shit, he's dead already. Oh, wait, never mind. Nick walks off a fall from a 15-foot overpass like a champ. You know what? Good on you, man. It's only going to get worse from here, though. Nick's attempt to find an escape route from the city was so horribly botched that somehow he managed to cause an airplane to fall right out of the sky. Instead of dropping a delightful picnic meal over Nick, the plane crashes onto the freeway and drops the opening credits instead. In between him and safety is a massive plane crash, a bunch of random survivors being torn to shreds by the zombies, and explosions. Go get him, Nick. As we run through this little slice of hell, I'll do my best to avoid the zombies and try to get through this as fast as possible. The timer works a little bit differently in Dead Rising 3 compared to the previous entries. The main story in the last 2 games had missions with specific start and end times. If you make it too late to a main scoop or take too much time to finish it, you can kiss the main story goodbye. In Dead Rising 3, there are no set times for missions, so hypothetically, you can put off doing the first story mission, wander around the map for the entire 5-day time limit, and then go do that first mission with only 4 in-game hours left in the timer. Because of this, and the various tools not available to us because of this challenge, it is definitely possible to use up too much time and reach the final chapters of the game without enough time to complete them. In fact, I had to go through 3 other failed playthroughs after reaching the end without enough time to complete the story. Because of this, I have to minimize the amount of time spent fighting zombies. The zombies in this game are faster and more aggressive than ever before. On top of that, the non-combo weapons are even weaker compared to their lower damage in the last game. This wombo combo of suffering will make it easy for me to get caught up in side missions and boss fights, so I've got to get through everything as fast as humanly possible. After running through an average afternoon on the I-5, Nick manages to get back to a diner where Nick's super interesting friends are sitting around with their thumbs up their asses. Annie, a relic of the early 2010s, asks me if I brought anything interesting back. This rando smugly says that he brought back a sledgehammer to nobody's praise. Annie starts being a generic 2012 emo girl, talking about how her only family is My Chemical Romance or something, before revealing herself to be infected when she goes to take a dose of Zombrex. This trailer trash hussy shouts out some nonsense that she heard on Fox News about how Annie is endangering everybody for not getting a Zombrex chip. Annie goes on about how the chips are totally lame and that Fall Out Boy told her to not get it. The Trailer Parks gang gets confused and calls Nick an illegal in the heat of the moment, while the sledgehammer douche accidentally turns on some copyrighted music, throwing everyone into a rush to turn it off and keep this video monetized. Unfortunately, the jukebox played a Bad Bunny song. The song does what his music normally does and attracts those without brain function to the area. This old woman has her brain melted at the sound of authentic Latinx music and sprints out into the horde in her confusion. Her son tries to not make her look racist in front of the Mexican man in the diner and goes out to get her, failing to do anything but get turned into a red puddle. Annie runs off pissed because the jukebox didn't play Panic at the Disco, and the Rhonda formulates a plan to escape to her nearby garage. Rhonda insists that Nick uses his mechanic skills to build a weapon that could help them escape the horde. A light bulb pops above Nick's head and he formulates a combo weapon. By taping a cement saw to the other end of the sledgehammer, Nick creates a weapon that looks significantly more dangerous to the user instead of the zombies. Yeah, this looks like an easy way to cut open your femoral artery. We're not using this. I have Nick pick up a meat cleaver to defend himself and run into the danger outside. Quick side note, if crafting a combo weapon is required to progress in a mission, I'm just going to craft the item and then immediately drop it. I think this happens maybe one more time in the run, so this little caveat to the rule won't be relevant that often. We sprint through the horde with relative ease, reaching a barricade to the next part of town. The barricade is brought down, only to reveal a wall of zombies. Nick screams for everyone to get into a nearby SUV, and we do, only to immediately get out. He said nothing about driving, and I won't let him illegally operate a motor vehicle. This is a much more intense version of the last highway run. Tons of zombies litter the highway and slow us down greatly. I avoid most of the crowds by jumping from car roof to car roof while Rhonda and Dick? Man, that's just too easy. I'm not even going to make jokes about his name. Jack Black, however, will provide the humor for this. Anyway, Rhonda and Dick are story-important NPCs, so they have a high amount of health and won't be in any real danger when I leave them behind. Thankfully, survivors in this game don't get grabbed and held by zombies, so I don't have to worry about them getting stuck in the horde like the last two games. We reach the end of the freeway and enter the ghetto-ass town of Ingleton. We're greeted with a survivor with his back to the wall and a horde of zombies in front of him. This is the first stranded survivor that we'll meet. They're generic NPCs that require you to kill the surrounding zombies for them to escape their predicament. They're a nice way to get some PP, but due to the fact that this game is more balanced around the crowd clearing abilities of the combo weapons, we'll take a little more time to save them. There's a small silver lining in that you don't have to escort them anywhere afterwards. After saving Faceless Nobody number 1, I steal a cop's gun and make it to the garage with our deadweight friends. Rhonda starts questioning where Daddy Government is during this whole mess and gets incredibly angry because she's missing Sean Hannity or something. She's so mad that she's missing her programs that she grabs a crowbar and slams it through an innocent survivor's skull. I feel it, Rhonda. The last time I hadn't been able to catch the newest video from my favorite YouTube channel, Come Dungeon Gaming, a local school bus full of first graders went missing in the woods outside of town. Rhonda then sprints over to her TV and tries to get it working so she can watch her boomer shows. She sends out Nick to find her some remote batteries while her and Dick stay behind. Before Nick leaves, he loots the body of Rhonda's most recent victim and jacks the dead guy's cell phone. The phone gets a call and Nick answers to the voice of some stoner janitor in a security room somewhere in the city. He tells Nick that he had been hired by Capcom Vancouver to be this game's Otis and that he's going to be cool as hell. Great, he's definitely going to fumble this. He informs Nick that there's a survivor at a nearby hotel and that it'd be, quote, totally badass-tacular if you saved her, Brody, unquote. I'm already losing patience with these people. Alright, we're back outside and starting the game proper. We've got a lot to grab throughout the whole map and not a lot of time to do it. First thing we're gonna grab is in a nearby clothing store. Frank got a deal with Funko after the Fortune City outbreak and got a limited edition run of 70 Frank statues with over 50 unique phrases. It seems that a Frank West superfan has scattered them all over town. If Nick is going to be worth half a damn in this outbreak, he's going to need the PP that the statues will bestow upon him. Let's see what this one has to say. Fantastic. Cool, statue gave us a level up. Leveling up works a little bit differently in this game. Instead of randomly having an attribute raised, you receive an attribute point that you can put into several attributes. I level up Nick's firearm damage as that will be the best way to clear crowds throughout this run. After this, we destroy some city property, save my homeboy Bob to level up to level 3, pick up another Frank statue, and get a call about a monk in a nearby garden. We then head over to the hotel where we meet up with the survivor there. Oh hey, another Frank statue. While this hippie talks about how her boobs hurt or something, let's see what this statue says. I've covered the wars, you know. Classic Frank. Thankfully, the HUD brings me up to speed and tells me to grab some spray paint cans scattered across the ghetto of Ingleton. While grabbing the spray paint cans, we save a survivor, grab Frank's statue number 3, and force Nick to eat an entire head of lettuce. When we get back to Anna, she sprays a sigil over the wall that unlocks a nearby door and then joins our party. Unique survivors in this game are available as companions that can help you during fights, but I mean, let's be real, they're not going to be that useful. I used the survivor bulletin board to banish her to the void. We've done what we can. Nick suddenly senses the sound of conservatives conserving nothing and assumes that Rhonda fixed her TV. We return to the garage to find Fox News talking about President Palin's disappearance before cutting to the Secretary of Defense, General Hemlock, in the middle of a press conference with some random stripper by his side. You guys should totally get the mark of the the Zombrex chip. Those who get chipped will receive 1 free lollipop. Also, I was a big fan of the Fallout TV show, so me and the stripper babe have come up with the epic idea to bomb Los Perdidos in order to bring the fictional post-apocalyptic city of Los Angeles to real life. You've got 6 days until Fallout in real life. Okay, bye. Everyone starts freaking out because that show fucking sucked and nobody wants to be in it. Fallout has fallen. If you want a vision of Fallout's future, imagine a fat bitch with a mouthful of chicken Alfredo constantly going, okie dokie, okie dokie, it's from the Fallout show, have you ever seen it, okie dokie. Oh yeah, there's an evacuation point at a nearby bridge. Well, that's fine and dandy, but how are we gonna get there? Ah yes, a combo vehicle. If you somehow manage to combine a steamroller and a sedan, you manage to get an armored truck with a turret on top. Rhonda lets us know on the game's behalf that we can now create combo vehicles. This thing might look good, but let's be real, there's no way this is what the car actually looks like. I'm sure Nick is just hallucinating a decent ride. Alright, everybody out of the metal death trap. If we're going to get to the bridge, we're not going to do it in a sedan that likely has a panel or two from a steamroller welded onto it. We're going to get over to that bridge and we're going to do it now. On our way there, we lend a survivor a helping hand, tell a zombie, howdy partner, and... oh hey, another Frank statue. What's this one say? There's worms in the food. Is that what those squishy things in my bag of Lay's was? Anyway, we destroy a speaker, blasting strange whispers and chants in a most inefficient manner, waste time trying to save a group of NPCs, grab another Frank statue, and make it to the bridge that would supposedly get us out of here. Instead of a humanitarian effort getting refugees out of the city, we find everyone there dead due to the... oh, fuck, it's the Crossed. We're surrounded. They take Rhonda into a room nearby and do what the Cross does to people, as Nick is left to fend for himself as the rest of the pack surround him. They'll toss Molotovs at you, but thankfully they are incredibly slow on their bikes, giving you ample opportunity to shoot them off. For all of their insanity and cruelty, their bodies hold the same weaknesses we do. If this reference is lost on you, go ahead and look up the Crossed comic. I'd show you a page here or there to get you up to speed, but I'd have to blur out any page that shows what they do to people. Suffice it to say, they're worse than the zombies. It seems Capcom Vancouver has taken the liberty to nerf the Crossed, as Nick manages to take 10 of them out without being knocked down and having turns taken on his mouth. Rhonda is apparently able to fight off the two that had taken her off screen as they leave her alone and turn their attention to Nick. However, before they can fall upon Nick, the roar of an even larger motorcycle engine kicks off. Riding in like an over-designed bat out of a Suda 51 game comes the Crossed's big boss. Oh my god. It looks like the Crossed virus has mutated. The leader of the Crossed has a strain of the virus that turns the rash on his face into the Confederate flag. Instead of engaging in a violent murder, he goes on a racial tirade and calls Nick slurs that have not been uttered since the 1800s. The rest of the pack throws Molotovs full of fire that magically doesn't burn people to death on direct impact, while the Confederate Crossed readies himself to flatten Nick with his Suda 51 bike. Nick gets immediately ran over by the pack leader, but manages to survive with almost no health left. We dodge an errant Molotov and hide within a military truck where Nick downs an entire bottle of vodka in super rations. In Nick's darkest moment, spirits from the beyond smile upon him. He's supercharged by the spirit of General Sherman, imbued with the righteous fury of countless victims of slavery, and even is given an RPG from Saint Floyd himself. After hitting the Crossed with a few dud RPGs, he succumbs to everyone's greatest weakness, anti-personnel warheads. While the Crossed is stunned, Nick hops up and gives him the whooping of 1,000 slaves crying for justice. We stun-lock the pack leader, St. Floyd's launcher being instrumental in the defeat of this diseased Johnny Reb. We slam the face of this diseased cracker into his handlebars for the final time, defeating him. He stops, calling Nick more unspeakable words as he revs up his stupid-ass bike and prepares to charge Nick. Nick hears the voice of General Sherman. As the Crossed burns alive in a massive fireball, Sherman is appeased at the smell of burning flesh. Nick breaks down in tears as St. Floyd's spirit leaves him. Hey yo, you a real OG, SA. You alright. Oh yeah, and Nick shows up while Nick is having his realistic depiction of a panic attack. Wondered if you could have done something. Bro, those were the Crossed. You're lucky you got out with your organs and butthole intact. Rhonda starts telling Nick to get it together. Did you know that the Confederates were Democrats? Even more proof that they're the real racists. As our gang of degenerates leave the area, we wrap up Chapter 1. As we leave that hellhole, we're attacked by an overweight man with a rifle. Nick realizes that the assailant is one of his and starts speaking Spanish to him. Realizing that Nick isn't Crossed, but his old childhood friend, he chills out and puts the gun down. Diego here pussied out and ran away while his brothers in arms gave their lives to protect the president in downtown. To add insult to injury, he stole the keys to a plane that they were going to fix up and save the president with him. Well, president be damned, it's our plane now. Get the key from him, Nick. Great job, Nick. You know, this wouldn't have happened if Frank were the main character of this game. I mean, shit, even Chuck could have dodged that. The hell's wrong with you? Anyways, Nick's useless friends run off to the plane. Rhonda mentions that if Nick doesn't want to turn his brain dead as a libtard, he's going to have to find some Zombrex from a nearby morgue in Ingleton. Look, let's put this whole Zombrex thing in the back seat for the moment. We've got a few things to take care of before continuing with the main story. Nick starts off particularly weak, so if we're going to survive this outbreak with the restrictions placed on us, we're going to have to rescue some of the surviving citizens of Los Perdidos. Honestly, saving them is a bad idea. LP refugees are going to be hell on the surrounding communities. If it's not the homeless coming into your town and getting into knife fights with each other in your mom's backyard, it's the rich LP freaks coming in, putting up posters for obscure political causes in your local mom and pop shops. What the hell does it mean to show solidarity with the International Society of Post-Gender Sri Lankan Socialists? Anyways, we've got a little time to spare on leveling up and gathering more Frank statues. We grab one from the entrance of a nearby yoga studio before shooting down another speaker and silencing the eldritch voices within. From there, I head into a nearby Mexican restaurant and dress Nick in something a bit more fitting. In case you think I'm being racist with the Latinx jokes in this video, just know I'm Mexican in real life, so anything I say is 100% A-OK and totally cool. Besides, Nick loves it too. After putting Nick in the clothes of our people, destroying yet another occult speaker, and grabbing a Frank statue in an obscure place, we head to a nearby restaurant that is currently occupied by a high-strung little freak. Threatening us, huh? He must be a psycho. Alright, Nick, go ahead and take this son of a bitch down. Wait, never mind, we need PP. Anyways, Ravi here bitches at us because we redeemed some gift cards or something and then asks us to bring him components to make a combo weapon. Sure thing, Nick here can totally help you make this combo weapon. I can't promise it'll be useful, but we can make it. First thing he asks for is a chainsaw. A chainsaw, huh? You mean like this? After pulling the chainsaw from Nick's ass, we head upstairs to grab the next part, a meat cleaver. Well, with the little bit of elbow grease and hope, Nick and Ravi put their heads together to craft the small chainsaws. They're combo weapons now? Come on, I can't use them for another challenge run? Yeah, fuck my life. Ravi freaks out because they're too cool for someone like him to use, as I cry silently, knowing that once more I'm to be kept from my beloved. With tears in my eyes, I direct Nick and Ravi out of this part of town. Not before grabbing a random grenade launcher though. On our way out of town, we encounter the only competent survivor in LP mowing down a bunch of zombies with an assault rifle. He offers us help by allowing us to take whatever we need from his stash of weapons. This is the only good man in LP. I hope he doesn't mysteriously disappear later on. Anyways, we save a man's life by blowing him to high hell and head deep into Ingleton to face our first psychopath. With our stinky little friend in hand, we enter a random Zen garden. I'm sorely disappointed to not find any sexy ninja Asian babes in there, only a smelly old man worshipping the devil by practicing yoga. He speaks in riddles that Nick can't even begin to comprehend. This strange panda-esque man babbles some fortune cookie bullshit while we catch a nice glimpse of undead underboob. Ignoring his Confucius say bullshit pisses him off. He throws a smoke bomb, forgetting that he didn't equip stuns on this class, and proceeds to get angrier before attacking Nick. Alright Ravi, this is just like those border clashes where your people and the Chinese attack each other with sticks. You're lucky to have an LMG instead of a stick like the rest of the Indian army. Go get him. While we let our pet monkey do the fighting, I have Nick hit a few of the nearby gongs. For most of the psychos in this game, you can perform an action to stun them, giving you a chance to get up close and personal and force feed them a knuckle sandwich. Quite literally for a future boss. I thought that hitting the gongs would piss off our little kung fu panda here to open him up to attack, but no such luck. Apparently, being butt blasted to a murderous degree gives Asians the ability to do ninja backflips and survive obscene amounts of gunfire. All of the bosses in this game are real tanks. I guess that's to balance out around the massive amounts of damage combo weapons do. Out of all the Dead Rising games I've played so far, the psychos in this one are the biggest pain in the ass due to how long they take to defeat. After discovering his weakness to fragmentation grenades, Nick shows what he thinks of the Stop Asian Hate movement with yet another 40mm round. The old man falls to his knees, seethes over losing his shawty to the BBC of a fridge salesman, raising an e-girl daughter that plays Valorant, and falling to one of her random Mexican simps instead of Frank West himself. Nick looks like the type of guy to pay for an OnlyFans, not gonna lie. Anyways, Poe is so pissed that he cuts his own head off in a fit of rage. Honestly, after a really bad Fortnite session, I get close to that point too. With the first of many psychos down, we gain access to Poe's Dark Knight halberd and get the key to the Happy Lucky Rub Rub Suck Suck store where we find another Frank West statue. I wonder what this one says. This Frank West statue was proudly made in the USA, using parts from China, Mexico, India, and the Philippines. Before leaving, I force-feed Ravi some Pepto-Bismol pills before heading on to our next activity. Standing on the roof of the gun store is the postal dude. The dude was out running errands when the outbreak began. He got everything done on his list except for one thing. He requires some cursed tarot cards from around Ingleton in order to conduct a dark ritual to prevent Running from Scissors from shutting down after how lame Postal 4 was. He decided to give up and smoke crack on the roof of the gun store so he can let the actual protagonist of this game do it for him. Okay, well we don't have a hot topic here, so I can't just grab some from there and call it a day. Alright Nick, just listen to me and I'll solve this. We're going to use the good old-fashioned Bauhaus bluff. Just pick up some random shit off of the floor and claim it has occult powers. Trust me, if it can get me head from a chubby goth girl at a party, it'll work on the postal dude. We grab a No, we're not giving the statue to the dude, Nick. Instead of this valuable collector's item, just grab something off of the floor of this jungle gym. From there, we grab a pamphlet from a travel agency, another Frank statue, and then some more random shit off the ground, who cares. The dude's high on crack. I'm sure he's not going to notice that these aren't what he's looking for until we're long gone. We get back to the dude and hand him some crap that would fool even the most perceptive, strung-out Gen X crackhead. Our half-torn Karibo card, Jamaican vacation travel brochure, shampoo label, and torn cover page from my favorite manga fools the dude, finishing his mission and granting us some totally tubular PP. After damning running with scissors to bankruptcy, I head over to the nearest safe house where I send Ravi back to the call center where he came from before heading off to the next adventure. To get to the morgue that's holding the Zombregs, we have to head through the sewers where the crowd clearing skills of the Black Knight's halberd come in handy. You only get one, so I'm going to enjoy how easy it is to clear out crowds now while we have the opportunity. You can get another one from a weapons locker inside of any safe room, but I feel like using those would go against the spirit of the challenge. Anyways, after leaving Ravi's home, we find one of the voodoo boys from nearby Night City screaming out some gibberish about the demon she worships. Another fucking loon we're gonna have to save. In order to complete her quest, we have to participate in her blood sacrifice to Satan or Alt Cunningham or whatever by killing a zombie over her demonic ritual. Wait, demonic glowing pentagrams? Undeniable proof that demons are real, or are we really just cool with this? The speakers around the city are playing 66.6 Damnation FM for Christ's sake. Nick, don't shit, he finished the ritual. Well, Nick, not only do you have to worry about turning into a zombie, but now you've got to worry about the forces of hell following you around now. And no, succubi are not as fun as you think, trust me. Anyways, we head back to Lady Ragnon and prevent her from sacrificing herself to the evil voodoo boy's evil god so we can get some more PP for completing her quest. I really wish there was an easy way to dismiss survivors on the fly. I didn't find much use out of survivors like we did in Fortune City. Fortune City. Frank statue, give us a little something to remember our number one guy with. Why did you leave me, Catherine? Well, we made it to the funeral home. In the front is a Discord moderator that— Holy shit, watch out, Nick! Good dodge, man. He goes to help Nick up before realizing he's Mexican and takes his help back. This Hulk-handed Palooka introduces himself as Gary and tells us that he's on a quest for his boss, Spampton G. Spampton. Or the Kingpin? Anyways, apparently we need to get the Kingpin a body from inside the funeral home in order to prevent Spider-Man from capturing him or some shit, I don't know. I feel more and more of my brain mess disappear each day I keep indulging my porn addiction. What do we do? Oh yeah, that's right. The Queen introductory cutscene. He does the classic bee blaster, throwing nearby zombies into an autism fit that blows their heads off. You all know the drill. Queen zombies will now spawn in the game. We'll get to that later. Now, the only way to get into the building is to drive a van to the entrance and climb on top of it from there. Alright, Nick, we don't have time to find a ladder. I'll let you drive just this once. Despite Nick crashing headlong into a wall, he gets the van to a spot where he can climb onto the roof from. Excellent job at breaking and entering, Nick. You're doing a great job at reinforcing stereotypes. Alright, we're in. We can hear a bunch of zombies in the other room, and it looks like we're gonna have to get in there. We grab the wasp from the foyer before letting Gary in. Gary unlocks the door in a most stealthy manner, and we open up into a crowd of zombies in this chapel. This is what the queens are for. Throw one and kill like 10 zombies. They were way more useful in the previous games. In Dead Rising 3, they seem to kill less zombies than they used to. Probably to encourage combo weapon usage, but god damn it, the combo weapons in this game look like shit, and I hate what they did with them in the rest of the series. After throwing a temper tantrum over game mechanics, we finally clear the chapel. It looks like there was a funeral going on before the outbreak kicked in. I wonder who this is being held for. Otis? Oh god, Otis. Not like this. Anyone but you, Otis. After taking a break from writing the script to mourn the world's best wingman, we head downstairs into the morgue. Gary is looking for the body of one Nicole White. After looking through multiple empty lockers, we head into the back room where we find the body of some crack hoe. Nick mistakes her for Annie, while I mistake her for dinner before remembering I've still got some lady jerky left over. And would you look at that, no Zombrex. Fuck, I was actually starting to like Nick. Are they really pulling a Danganronpa V3? Is this sentient block of spam the real protagonist of this story? He can't even shoot his damn gun. Nick, help him out. Thank you. Well, goodbye, Nick. You're shitting me. Gary's incompetence wastes his last bullet and ruins this pristine piece of meat. I hate this ham sandwich piece of shit so much. If this were the average zombie movie, Nick would begin to turn while Gary has nothing to defend himself with. Thankfully for them, this is a Dead Rising game. Nick received the blessing of St. Floyd, who entered Nick's body and stole the worm forming in his brain while pointing a gun at Nick's stomach. Cool, thanks George. Gary picks up this room temp piece of ass for his boss while making a funny face and loads her into a hearse. Nick tells Gary that he doesn't have time for his side quest bullshit and mentions that he needs to get his plane working. Gary says that if Nick helps him, Spampton or the Kingpin or whoever the fuck he works for can get him stuff to fix the plane with. Fine, let's get not Annie to his boss by driving. Alright Nick, look, I'll give you another shot at driving here. Just carefully No, Nick, stop! Alright mister, no more driving for you. Once more, St. Floyd smiles upon us and protects the coffin from the explosion. As punishment for fucking up on such a monumental scale, I forced Nick to carry the coffin to the strip club. It appears that the explosion has drawn the attention of the Crossed. They have set up explosive barrels and roadblocks all over the road to the strip club. Thankfully, they just stand on top of some cars and toss their pansy foo-foo la-la Molotovs. We leave Christine for the Crossed, as I hate having useless survivors follow me around in this game. We get to the club with no further issues. It seems that Gary hasn't shown up yet, and I'm not willing to meet a Spider-Man villain after Nick almost botched this whole thing. Nick turns on the TV to another news channel, giving a glowing review of the Fallout show so that normies will be okay with LP being nuked. Nick turns off the TV, obviously losing faith in humanity as we close this chapter. While Nick takes a siesta, Gary gets silently yelled at by his boss for bringing him the wrong girl. Gary remembers him crying like a little bitch back at the morgue and gives him an offer. Bring him the girl and wipe away the debt. Bring him Annie and his boss will get him fuel for his plane. Nick gives his puppy eyes to the camera. Well, I can't bring in Annie. I love her. Nick, take the black pill. She's probably screaming out some other dude's name right now. Sell that hoe out immediately. Nick reluctantly agrees to bring Annie to Gary, and we're off to sell an emo girl into sex slavery. While we're at the bar, let's go ahead and make some quick step to make the travel go by faster. 2 bottles of wine in hand, I hit the blender and pick up the blender. It's a real fucked up world we live in. We'll get back to making mixed drinks later. We've got a lot to do, not a lot of time to do it. I immediately waste a bunch of time by having Nick rescue a generic stranded survivor. I don't know how many zombies or which ones I have to kill in order to save a generic survivor, but I stay and save her because the name Mila just sounds nice to me, I guess. We get a nice another bit of PP for destroying a demonic speaker and clear out a nearby safe house so that I can send Christine. Is that fucking Slender Man? Anyways, after banishing Christine, grabbing another Frank statue, hitting up a box of AA-12s, and following the glow of another Frank statue, we reach Almuda, where the plane is being stored. We save a Family Guy reference, and then pick up a Frank statue in a dollar store. I know the Frank statues are everywhere, but I'm mentioning them when I grab each one so that I can prove that I actually grabbed all the damn things. Besides, they've got funny things to say when you pick them up.
What the dog doing?
We get Nick to the hangar where his useless friends are. Rhonda freaks out at seeing a Latinx for a short moment before remembering that Nick came legally and immediately calms down. Diego is tweaking in the corner like the useless fatty that he is, while Dick lives up to his namesake and starts telling him that they're going to take his food stamps for going AWOL. Nick defends Diego as he is the only other Mexican in the main cast, while fucking Dick notices that Nick and Diego have a similar tattoo. Neither of them know what it means. Likely story. They were probably in the same gang or something back down in Mexico. Nick mentions that the ugly bastard back at Ingleton offered him fuel for the plane in exchange for Annie's freedom. Rhonda is immediately down with the idea of deporting this illegal. She shows the demonic sigil they use to mark their dwellings while letting us know that they're in not Beverly Hills. After the cutscene, we level up from grabbing another Frank statue. Now, I make an executive decision to use a perk point to unlock the ability to create mixed drinks. They don't involve any sort of mechanical crafting, and hey, we let things fools know how to make some good food, gringo. After destroying another speaker blasting demonic chants, we come across some sort of proto-human troglodyte sobbing at the sight of a Frank statue. This poor incel wasn't able to get into Frank's incel trapstar school before it shut down after one of the autistic femcel students made a gay comic about Frank on Twitter. We really shouldn't have allowed female students. Anyways, Nick mentions that he's also a Dead Rising protagonist and can maybe teach him some moves to help him at least survive. As he continues screaming like a little toddler, we head down into the horde and begin taking out zombies. You have to kill 5 zombies with unarmed attacks, which could take a fat minute. Since this is nightmare mode, that'll take way too much time. Instead, just get 10 headshots on zombies, use the super move you get when you kill 10 zombies, rinse and repeat 5 times. Despite having the absolute shit kicked out of him, Nick inspires this disgusting non-person with his zombie killing skills. Up next now is to make a combo weapon. Alright, I'll let you give it a shot, Nick. I'm letting Nick risk life and limb by crafting a combo weapon as we need to complete this quest to unlock this guy as a psychopath later. Or at least that's what I thought. According to the wiki, you can just actually skip this quest and he'll still be available to fight as a psycho later. This fight only makes sense if you meet him during this mission, so I was under the assumption... Aw, Nick, what the fuck is that thing? Did you just tape a fucking beer keg to a construction hat? Jesus fucking Christ, what do they teach you over at Luca Luis's? I let him build one thing and he tapes a fucking beer keg to a helmet and I didn't even need to let him do it. What the fuck am I doing with my life? Anyways, Nick inspires this fucked up little basement goblin, and we head on our way. You know the drill for downtime between missions. We save some bitch, grab a Frank statue from a room that looks suspiciously like my bedroom. Is Capcom Vancouver gang stalking me? And then head on down to Ingleton to do some side missions. Before starting said side quest, I hit up the gun store and grab 5 firearms. These will come in handy in a moment, trust me. We come across a domestic dispute between an old babushka and her wigger sugar baby. The babushka has food and the wigger has a hoard of firearms from the money she's given him for favors. The babushka won't let him eat any of her food until he eats her roast beef sandwich. Oh god. He won't let her have any of her guns despite the fact that she essentially paid for it. Alright Nick, looks like we're going to be playing divorce lawyer here. The firearms immediately come in handy when we give the babushka enough to defend herself. I'm hoping that she doesn't go on the offensive with these and force Dollar Store M&M here to do something foul. Next up, I head over to a nearby Burger King and pick up some Whoppers so that little cunning linguist can continue making mumble rap and avoid being forced to perform oral services to an old Eastern European lady. Alright, you've got your food, you've got your guns. Leave each other the fuck alone until the bomb drops in 4 days, okay? Both agree to keep the peace, and now Nick has access to the old woman's food supply and the wigger's box of guns. A food and gun spawner is a great resource that we'll probably take advantage of like 3 whole times. On our way over to not Beverly Hills, we meet Larry the Cable Guy. He's having trouble with his RV and needs to fix it up to get out of there. Nick mentions that he's a mechanic, and before I stop him, I remember how much I fucking hate the Cars movies. You know what, Nick, go ahead and use your skills. I believe in you. Nick does his best to help fix the truck and wipes out one of my greatest enemies. Towmater, I hope you're being disassembled in hell right now. Murdering Larry the Cable Guy nets us 40,000 PP and we head into our next area. We reach the illegals' called hideout where we're stopped by another emo woman with very suckable boobs. Before we can go inside and kidnap Annie, she tasks us with finding some useless woman shit. A box of tampons from a nearby school and her wedding ring from a safe house. Look how much time she's wasting us, Nick. You could be flying free and out of the soon-to-be Fallout theme park right now if not for her. Imagine how Annie would waste your time. Anyways, go pick up some more Frank statues. Stoner Otis also told us about some dude with a boner in a nearby mansion earlier, so go check that out too. Inside the mansion, we meet some Jersey Shore wannabe who wants to film zombie porn of all things. I'm not even doing my bit where I say a character is doing something weird or perverted instead of what they actually want. That's really what he wants to do. Anyways, we have to bring 3 hot male zombies to the filming room. Easily done thanks to the more aggressive zombies in nightmare mode and the fact that a bunch of the zombies just happen to fall right out of the sky. Fall right out of the sky. Anyways, after leading them into the porn studio, we complete the mission. In every playthrough, I kill the zombies after the game gives me my PP. I'd kill the freak too, but unfortunately he's bulletproof thanks to the devil protecting his best smut pusher. Luckily, the safe house with Boob Lady's wedding ring is right next to the porn mansion. Unfortunately, the Crossed are guarding the area. Honestly, these dudes are just bullet sponges. We don't have the time to clear the safe house of these bastards. So we just grab the ring box and leave these dudes to dismember and bang each other. On our way to our next objective, we get another Frank statue and Nick tries to end it all by jumping off of a massive balcony. Too bad for you, Nick, we still have to get through this. Once we're done, you can disappear from the franchise and never be seen again. Next thing to grab is this harlot's box of tampons or whatever. I really don't even remember what she wanted. I was too busy looking at her boobs. Inside the high school, we encounter a new type of special zombie, the football player. They'll tackle Nick and do heavy damage before being knocked off. On top of that, Caesar's Legion was right. Firearms do next to nothing against football equipment. We just run through, masterfully parry an attack with a shoulder charge, and grab an important looking box before heading to the area behind the school. In the school's tennis court, we find a box of shotguns, a Frank West statue, and a bunch of Tylenol. I have Nick take 2 entire bottles. It's a great idea. If you don't feel well, take 2 whole bottles of acetaminophen. Swallowing 2 whole bottles of Tylenol is Cum Dungeon approved. After grabbing a few more Frank statues, we head back to Boob Lady and hand her the MacGuffin she asked for and get let in. Nick enters the cult compound and is immediately jumped and is at the mercy of the cultists. Annie comes in and lets everyone know that Nick is cool. Nick tries to ask her on a date to a strip club and immediately she knows that he's trying to kidnap her. Nice job failing the speech check, dumbass. Now you're gonna get killed by Drake. How embarrassing. Nick spills the beans about his plane and that he was only doing this to get fuel for it. Nick manages to convince the cultists that he could be of help to them. After a heroin break, Drake says that he can get the fuel for the plane if Nick is willing to commit terrorist attacks against the US government outposts in the area. I guess this works out for the both of us. Nick can still simp over his emo one-nightas and we can stick it to the military-industrial complex. I guess we're working for the satanic cult of illegal immigrants. Just another day in the life. After leaving the cultist compound, we find a gift from what I'm assuming is the devil, a Frank statue and an RPG. Dare I press the button on this gift from the devil? Nice balls, Nick. What? Anyway, we destroy some government surveillance cameras before... Nick, what the fuck are you doing? You can't drive. Get the fuck out of here. You're ruining it for... Oh, it was for a Frank statue. Yeah, I believe this is the only way to actually get onto the roof for this Frank statue, so I guess we can turn a blind eye for now. Whatever, fuck you, Nick. Trying to fail this shit for me? After having a one-sided argument with a video game character I'm controlling, we destroy the rest of the cameras in not Beverly Hills before heading into downtown Los Perdidos. The first thing we do downtown is save some nobody who asks us to save the rest of his family while we ignore him and grab another Frank statue. Oh hey, this is the halfway point of the Frank Collectathon. Let's get another classic Frank West line. 8, 9, 2, 1, dash, 1, 3, 6, 6, 6. After activating an MK Ultra Sleeper Cell, we head over to... Oh, now we're getting another statue? Oh, okay. Okay, now we head over to the next objective. Nick uses his border crossing skills to sneak into an army camp and destroy a communication device while being riddled with bullets. The army has the same problems as the Crossed. They just take way too much time to kill. If I can help it, I'm just going to run past them and do what I need to do. There's not enough time to kill the soldiers, but we have enough time to save more members of this random family. Honestly, to preserve pacing, I'm just going to cut down on mentioning the Frank statues because it's killing the pacing of this video. We waste more time saving this retarded family and tank another 1,000,000 bullets while eliminating the next communication post. We are definitely on the government shit list now. Well, Nick is on their shit list. I'm just a disembodied voice in Nick's head that posts the antics I force him to do on YouTube. On our way out of town, we save the final member of this lame-ass, dork-ass, fat-ass family and take our happy-ass over to Almuda to take out the government supplies. First supply cache is in a warehouse, and we blow it up with a single bullet. Next one up is in some sort of horror movie set. Okay, Nick finds the cache, but before he can do anything, somebody sneaks up on him and injects him with a syringe full of air. Holy shit, Nick is fucking dead, dude. Dead Rising 3's over. Well, I guess you can't beat Dead Rising 3 as a diversity hire. Remember to sub to Come Dungeon Gaming and... hold on, he's waking up. Man, Nick can really take fatal falls and embolisms like nobody's business. Anyways, Nick recovers and finds himself in the care of a doctor that's harvesting the organs of survivors in order to make a profit. That's normal hospital stuff, really. If you're on the brink of death and you're an organ donor, doctors will let you die so that they can take your organs. Don't sign up to be an organ donor. We'll show this bastard what happens when you waste a Dead Rising protagonist's time. This cycle fight is Dead Rising's take on Among Us. There are multiple survivors alongside the boss in this arena. The air bubble in Nick's brain is causing him to hallucinate the boss's face over the other survivors. We have to find the actual doctor and kill him. The only way to get Albert here to show himself is to just throw one of his many organs that he had harvested onto the floor. He'll be so pissed that you're killing his profit margin that he'll leave himself open to attack. No weapons here, so you'll be forced to fight him barehanded. After giving him a taste of his own medicine and tweaking out multiple times, we manage to give him a high enough dose of whatever is in his syringe to finish the fight. The amount of drugs in his system lets him see beyond the veil and the two demons that are coming to kill him. They possess him and begin to make him rip himself apart while keeping him fully conscious. It is absolutely terrifying. I'm starting to think there's a portal to hell underneath Los Perdidos. Anyways, one of the crewmates in this Among Us ripoff starts following me while I destroy the last supply cache. Well, I did the bidding of the satanic illegal cult. Time to get back to them and get our fuel. I take a shortcut through a train station and grab another Frank statue. What wisdom do you have for us while we make our way to the satanic cult we're working for now? Remember, licking doorknobs is illegal on other planets. I get that reference. After a whole lot of nothing, we meet Annie back at the compound. Nick begins to ask her if she's dating Drake before he comes in and interrupts Nick's simping. Dude, she's almost definitely ran through. Give it a fucking rest. Do you know how many wings she had to slurp just to do the morning ritual alone? She belongs to the streets. Anyways, Amazon made a secret sneak peek of Season 2 of the Fallout show for the government that they will use as a blueprint for Fallout Land, and we are sent to retrieve it from the police station while Drake and Annie spend some time alone in a fancy hotel. Come on, man, don't tell me you're gonna do this while she gets railed by a pedophile. Okay, whatever, I guess we're doing it. We head on over to the police station downtown to make a funny Resident Evil 2 reference by being in a police station during a zombie outbreak. Oh yeah, the survivor we saved from Dr. Psycho Steen is still following us. I hate her so much. Inside the police station, we encounter ghosts from Call of Duty, and whoa. The stripper from the Secretary of Defense's meeting is here, and damn, that's thighs. Not into the whole she-wolf of the SS thing and the old woman face, but so far she's the hottest chick in the game. Right as we're about to see some crazy action, we're interrupted by two nobodies asking for help. Boo-hoo, my wife is wounded and needs help. Whatever, these are special forces in a Dead Rising game. We all know how this is going to go. After Ghost commits a war crime and the she-wolf floods her panties at Geneva Convention violations, Nick blows our cover and makes things way harder for us. Thanks, Nick. Those Nazi knockers are wasted on you. Anyways, she calls in the rest of Task Force 141 that had been waiting outside while she makes an obnoxious sex joke and leaves. Fight with bullet sponges? No thank you, Alejandra can handle this. Before Nick can get out, the devil makes a funny Doom 3 reference and locks him in with the 141 guys. We really shouldn't have been helping out the satanic cultists. Now Nick is the devil's plaything. Anyways, we arm Alejandra with a shotgun before dusting these mooks with sustained gunfire. After clearing the room, Nick gives chase and receives an RPG in the face from the Nazi broad. We continue to chase the fucking claymores? How many booby traps are in this police station? Nick makes a bottle of Quick Step while Alejandra fights off a giant black man. After taking 10 years to make the drink, Nick pulls out a 6-shooter and kills the zombie. Yeah, remember this thing from the last video? Unfortunately, Nick hasn't been chosen by the spirit of the city to become its sheriff, so it does far less damage than it did back in Fortune City. We run past the rest of the 141 and reach the she-wolf's den. It's me, Nick, and some generic survivor against one stripper in an SS uniform. How hard can it be? Well, I guess since she's the boss of Task Force 141, she has their bullet sponge powers. You've got to dodge fire from her dual machine pistols and shoot her back. Not much strategy to put in this boss fight. You can stun her with explosives, but Capcom Vancouver really hates me and takes control away from me for the most of the time that she's stunned. By the time Nick gets to her to lay his pimp hand on this hoe, she's up and pistol whips Nick. Fun. At least Alejandra is dealing constant damage to her. It might not be enough to be any real threat to the boss, but maybe we'll be able to do enough damage to her together. I try to hand Alejandra the grenade launcher we found in a baby's crib earlier. Maybe she can use her infinite ammo to stun the boss better than I can.
Fuck no, baby.
Well, unfortunately, that would make life too easy on the tainted soul of Nick Ramos. We managed to do enough damage to where Ilsa stops playing around, summoning more of Task Force 141 and pulling out an RPG to match Nick's. While Alejandra fights off Meat and Royce, Nick comes up to the Nazi chick and gives her a fire axe to the cooch.
Holy shit.
The sex-obsessed maniac screams and flees the arena to try to fix the mutilated remains of her baby maker. We use this time to hollow out an apple and put Skittles inside and then finish off the last 141 operator. The she-wolf returns, ready to avenge her massacred kitty. Nick finally gets a good stun on her, punching her directly in the uterus before Alejandra blows her head smooth off with a shotgun, ending the fight. She points her RPG at Nick, making yet another sex joke despite the agony that's radiating from her clutch. She shoots at Nick, who dodges her shot and goes in for the motorboat, while the backblast throws him and Ilsa out of the police station. In her final moments, she laments her death with yet another sex joke as Nick tries his best not to fall to the new necrophiliac temptations in his mind. Well, it looks like we've put a wrench into the government's plans with this. Hopefully Annie and Drake are done with their business. Don't need to burst in during the middle of the act and turn this into an NTR dojin. Nick reaches the hotel and comes across what Annie and Drake were actually up to. They completed a dark ritual to summon their lord into this world, sacrificing some generic punk girl and her friends to call upon the Lord of Darkness. You sick fiend, what darkness do you have in plan for this world? Oh, you summoned the jet fuel devil? Oh, never mind, that's cool, thanks. Drake asks us for some time to let the devil do his thing, and tells us that it'll leave its gift for us in a garage off of the freeway. Well, with that business out of the way, I guess it's time to pick up a celebratory Frank statue. This Frank statue has been sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Stoner Otis informs us of a totally bodacious, badass lawyer babe nearby, and a hungry homeboy further away in Ingleton. So help me God if I find the bunker this guy's hiding in, we're tearing him limb from limb for the millennial writing he subjected me to throughout this playthrough. Anyways, we've got a bit of time before Drake's demonic buddy gets us our fuel. I use this time to go throughout downtown and pick up a bunch of Frank statues. We won't be spending a lot of time downtown after this, so I grabbed what I could before heading over to Almuda for an important mission. Bear with me here, I'll get to why we need to do this specific mission in a second. On the bridge into Almuda is one pimp-ass playboy going by the title of Big D. Homeboy here done crashed his whip and won't head back to the crib unless we get him one pimped out ride. Damn, playboy, this nigga Nick can't drive no cars, but for a real OG like Big D here, I think we'll make an exception. Alright, so to progress this quest, we're going to have to find and bring D a combo vehicle. There's no way to finish this without fudging the rules once again. If you consider this to be a run failure, comment the word boobs, spelled B-O-O-B-Z. If enough people comment it under the video, I'll do a travel stream in which I go down to Mexico and start shit-talking Goku to cartel members. Anyways, Nick calls upon the spirits of the damned to bring him the fucked up car he made like 2 days ago. I really don't know what happened with this thing in the few days that we've been away from it, but the steering wheel is covered in something crusty and it smells like salty pennies and milk in here. Nick, We can't let a real OG ass nigga like Big D in this thing. You guys have to hoof it to this pimp palace. Just wash your hands when you're done there, okay? Despite Big D crying about how a playboy such as himself shouldn't have to walk, he must abide by his programming and follow Nick. We reach D's base of operation, a massage parlor called Lau's Cream Dream. I die a little bit inside when I remember an awkward incident inside the last massage parlor I went to involving myself, a bottle of strawberry lube, and a very confused and frightened 60-year-old Chinese woman. Thankfully, instead of broken hips and dreams, we find a Frank statue and D's top hoe tied up. Big D begins to speak in a voice of something that is older than time. D, you forgot rule number 1 in the cum dungeon. Respect women. Nick, take this false god out of the picture. Fighting deadites is much more difficult in real life. I think we unload more 12 gauge into D here than what Ash fired in the entire Evil Dead trilogy. After destroying D, we save this hoe. She has nowhere else to go, so I guess she's my hoe now. She'll be the first of the cum dungeon gaming VTuber division. If you're an attractive woman below 130 pounds and have no issues with living in the IRL cum dungeon, feel free to apply. It's probably a better gig than VTubing under Nichisanji, honestly. We hand our new hoe/talent, Big D's tricked out pimp blaster, and make our way back to the illegal cult. Frank statue, give us some words of encouragement.
Keep your pimp hands strong, player.
Back at the compound, Annie, Miss Boobs, and Pocahontas are doing girl talk before Nick comes in and makes an unsettling face that scares Annie. He brings down the tension by, "Holy shit, watch out!" Gary shows up from nowhere and starts wildly waving a pistol at everybody. He complains that trying to capture Annie is keeping him from impressionable underage low-follower e-girls and kicks Nick in the balls for making his blue. Unfortunately for everybody involved, the FBI have gathered enough evidence from Gary's grooming servers and forensic evidence of the child sacrifices the illegals have made to make an arrest. Drake returns to find his congregation gone and a lazy Latink sleeping on the job. Nick is tired of this demonic bullshit and asks for his fuel. After getting hit with the light skin stare, Nick's free will is overruled and he has now been recruited to do Drake's bidding. We've got to swing on over to Ingleton to save all of these sons and daughters of perdition. But that doesn't mean we don't have time to lazily rub our PP bar. Bitch-ass, faggot-ass stoner Otis tells us about some dude totally sobbing over something. Maybe it's student loans, dude. And I try not to start punching holes in my drywall. Before heading over to deal with whatever PP gaining nonsense is going on nearby, Nick heads to a nearby Taco Bell and grabs a tasty 5-layer burrito. Nice. At a nearby mansion, we find this mentally broken freak asking for a burrito to cure his family of the intense hangriness they're undergoing. Nick hands the sad little geek his Taco Bell order before he pulls out a pistol and feeds this dude's mother and sister a 9mm bullet before running off, giggling like a goblin. Oh, Nick, maybe you're not that bad. Alright, we've got something cuckoo crazy going on over in a buffet in Ingleton. Let's get going. Come along, ho. We're back in the ghetto-ass crack slum of Ingleton. After rescuing a generic survivor, we're down to one shotgun and a broadsword for self-defense. We have a boss fight coming up, and you know what would be useful? Guns. There's a gun spawner that we gained access to after dealing with the old lady and her boy toy, so let's take advantage. We're gonna just go fight the psycho? No prep? Alright, Nick, I guess I'll trust you on this one. Inside a hometown buffet, we encounter a Native American man desperately trying to sneak into the buffet. Nick immediately gives away their position when he slips on a puddle and snaps his hip loudly. What approaches is quite possibly the biggest villain in the CDG Dead Rising Challenge series. The buffet is under the control of the mother of Ronald from Dead Rising and the unnamed cocksucker from Off the Record. This foul beast is the embodiment of gluttony, claiming the entire buffet for itself so that it may asexually breed more of its unholy offspring into the world. Our native friend tries to go for some food, but the beast begins to scarf down black spears before vomiting at us in defense. He must be really hungry as he still goes to eat after that disgusting display. Stealing food from the annoying obese survivor she's gestating in her wretched womb has angered the beast. She pulls out a comically large spork out of nowhere and inexplicably manages to stab him to death with it. Frankly, I'd be embarrassed to die that way. I'm sure the ancestors that are greeting his spirit are stifling laughs. Alright, Nick, purge this unclean beast from the world. Avenge the time I've wasted dealing with her sons. The beast Nikocado Avocado brand scooter is surprisingly fast. She attacks by driving around the arena, ramming Nick, and then proceeding to vomit all over the floor to trip him up. This is likely the most disgusting thing I've ever encountered in a video game. Thankfully, the combined might of Nick's higher level melee skill and our hoe's powerful pistol do quite a lot of damage. The beast flees from us, rolling up to a steam tray and gorging on the food there. Nick, help her out. Nick begins shoving tacos and burritos down her throat, and I shudder because I feel as if this is somebody's fetish. As she chokes on the obscene amount of Mexican food that we force feed her, Nick and the hoe finish the fight by ganging up and beating the shit out of the beast. The beast bellows in pain. The fight has caused her to go into labor. Oh god, more run-killing obese survivors. She rushes Nick to try and kill him to keep her offspring safe, but her scooter slips in a pile of her own vomit and she falls. Her children try to come out of her throat, but get stuck due to the amount of Mexican food there. Dead Rising 4's obese survivor never comes to pass, as both it and its mother die drowning in vomit, tacos, and afterbirth. With that, I'll never eat again. The beast gets its last laugh as Nick trips in the partially digested remains of her offspring in final meal. I pause the game for over 5 minutes in real life, sitting in the classic Shinji pose and wondering what I'm doing with my life. I forget the trauma I endured in this fight by being traumatized harder by viewing Chinese cat torture on Twitter. Why is Nick shaking and covered in vomit? Whatever. What those Chinese bastards did to those cats was fucked up. I'm not in the headspace to deal with Nick's problems at the moment. After crafting some quick step and grabbing an assault rifle from young cunning linguist's stash, we meet up with Drake. The feds have the cultist and Gary captured and are preparing them for a fun trip to Guantanamo Bay. Why should we care? Oh right, the Plainfield demon. Drake uses the light-skinned stare once again to force Nick to get into the government compound and get the rest of the cultists out while he goes and grabs an escape vehicle. Good idea. Nick would probably fuck up driving a van over here and end up blowing up half the city again. Well, we can either fight our way in, walk in with the disguise, or sneak in. Yeah, we're gonna rely on Nick's natural Latinx abilities and hop the border. Looks like the government was hiding a Frank statue in the compound. What knowledge do you have for us, Frank?
For liability reasons, please do not stick this limited edition Frank West statue in your rectum.
After waltzing past a blind soldier, we sneak into a room where something serious is going down. This random crippled woman comes in and gets into a Skype call with the Secretary of Defense, General Hemlock. Cripple lady starts ranting about how she's looking for the Chosen One, while the general tells her that she can make as many funny Fallout references as she wants when LP gets nuked in a few days. While they're having an autism fit over Fallout, Ghost comes in with President Sarah Palin. The general proceeds to make a funny Caesar's Legion reference when he orders the assassination of a sitting president. They shove a redesigned zombie larva down her throat, instantly zombifying her. Ghost carries her off as the general and cripple lady discuss finding Diego for some reason, and how the constant Fallout references are beginning to change the zombies. Cripple lady gets the hankering for some heroin before leaving. As Nick gets up from his hiding spot, he gets spotted by Ghost. A swing from a broadsword and a shot from our hoe is enough to take him down. Jesus, Nick, he's dead, leave him alone. After destroying the generators powering the electric fence, we meet up with Annie, Gary, and the other cultists. He frees them, and Gary, despite Annie's objections. Yeah, the simping might make you feel nice now, Nick, but the only thing down that path is a world of hurt. Drake makes a dramatic entrance by throwing a man to his death with an overused joke. We here at CDG would never stoop to reusing the same 3 audio gags.
Really, nigga? What the dog doing?
Drake's escape van is nearby, but in order to reach it, we'll have to get through a human wall of soldiers. They go down after tons of bullets and explosions, but one of them is competent enough to close the gate before dying. The only way to open it is with a keycard. Thankfully, the commander of Task Force 141 shows up and challenges us to a fight. I'm sure he's got the key. He's laughably easy to fight. A bunch of heavy attacks stun him, making this fight trivial. After being shot in the head by my hoe, he's defeated and drops the keycard we need. We get the cultists into the van before shoulder checking Gary. Annie shows her true feelings towards Nick as they drive off. Gary is pissed, but decides to try and go to his low-follower underage e-girls instead of fighting Nick. Ghost somehow walked off the bullet and sword to the face and begins to beat the shit out of Nick before Drake uses his mall ninja knife to save the day. Drake then shows Nick that the government has put a bounty out on him, Diego, and anybody else with a number tattoo on their neck. Well, we destroyed their shit and stole the only copy of Fallout Season 2. We knew what was going to happen. Drake tells us to meet him and Annie at a karaoke bar when the plane is ready after telling us where the Plainfield Devil left our prize at. Now, gathering the means for escaping this fuck-to-death hellhole is important, but fighting another psycho is even higher on the list. We quickly head over to a sex store over in Almuda. Before we can get into this rival cum dungeon, we're told by a voice over the intercom that there's no +1s allowed. Great. We have to go clear out a nearby safe house in order to fire our hoe. I'll miss her, but there's no coming back from the void. Farewell, my dear hoe. I'll remember your name for another 2 hours. Frank Statue, give us a eulogy for our lost woman of the night.
I have never had any affiliation with Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh yeah, the thought of Little St. James Island reminds me that we have to go to the basement of a sex store. Why does the sex store have a basement? Rhetorical question. We all know they're trafficking kids in there. Let's go stop this madness. Inside the basement, we encounter two... You know what, they look young enough. We encounter 2 kids being held captive. Nick goes to free them, but trips like an absolute fool and opens his booty hole for attack. This intrigues the dungeon master, who comes in and proceeds to sexually harass Nick and lust after his beanhole. This friendly candy salesman attempts to use the same trick my adoptive parents used on me, but thankfully Nick has more sense than 4-year-old me. After refuting his sexual advances for the final time, the dungeon daddy is thrown into a lustful rage and pulls out his freaky fiery phallus. God, why do I have to put up with these weirdos? This never would have happened in Willamette. As Nick beats this pervert with a hammer, I shudder and remember my real-life experiences with a big city's BDSM scene. Don't ask why I have experiences with the BDSM scene. Where all of the other cycles are based off of real compulsions that people fall into in real life, they're all extremely exaggerated. Unfortunately, not only is someone like this cuckold connoisseur here real, he's less outlandish than the real people I have met. Due to a currently ongoing federal trial, I cannot disclose what I've seen, but let it be known that even this dude who shoots freezing semen at restrained 35-year-old children would shudder at the things I've seen and heard. This isn't even a joke. Why are you laughing? There's sickos even worse than this psycho in real life. Anyways, being brought down to 2 blocks of health has aroused this degenerate, and he politely requests a pole dance from Nick. No, don't succumb to your fruity Latinx instincts, Nick. Just kill him for everybody's sake. After being cleaved in 2 by a battle axe, he is brought to the climax of his edge session. As he collapses in disgusting, filthy ecstasy, he lets out the final load of his life. Damn, this guy was a real gooner. It was the only thing keeping him alive. After proving myself the true cum baron, we free the child trafficking victims and head into his goon cave to grab another Frank statue that's covered in something slimy and something brown. Dare I press the button?
He put me up his ass, Nick. Up his ass.
Well, at the very least, we can take his fiery phallus of pain. It's a very powerful weapon that'll help us clear crowds of zombies and fight psychos easier. Thankfully, it's not a combo weapon, so we finally have something in this playthrough that can stand up to the ridiculous combo weapons in this game. Well, with the official Cum Dungeon gaming weapon firmly attached to our cojones, we head over to a garage off of the freeway where Drake said the Plainfield Devil left our prize. We make it to the garage where we nick, some keys from the office and open the garage to find our prey. Holy shit! The Plainfield is there, but it looks like the Plainfield Devil left us a surprise. He must have possessed the larvae inside of this zombie, causing it to mutate and look even more like its true form. 2 TF-141 operators come in to try and capture Nick, but get murked by the demon's new attacks. Be blessed and funny Islam reference. Well, that worked out swimmingly at least. We've got the fuel, and I can just... wait, it's stuck in the car? God damn it, this game keeps trying to cuck me out of the challenge every second it gets. I don't care that they can drive without a license in California with no legal repercussions. It's the principle of the matter. The rule of law is breaking down and you people just sit there and laugh. He's even destroying property now, for God's sake. I don't care that it's spouting demonic chants, the government put it there for a reason. Whatever. Again, if you're unhappy about this, just put boobs in the comments, and I'll be the star of the next Funky Town sequel. Yes, I tried to see if destroying the car would work like it did with the coffin earlier, but unfortunately the demon's gift is destroyed when the car blows up. We get back to the hangar with the demon's gift in tow. Rhonda gives Nick a teary hug when he returns. You know how much fuel costs these days under Sleepy Joe? You're one of the good ones, Nick. Just make sure you vote for Nikki Haley in the election. She also mentions that Diego went to indulge his simple mind somewhere downtown, taking the key to the plane with him. I thought that retard babysitting duty was done when we left the shitty AI behind at Willamette. As I suffer internally,
Seasoned curlies.
Takes a long grab at Rhonda's ass in order to get some good sniffs later. We then get a report over the radio that the president has been found to be a member of the Enclave and has been eliminated for the sake of the wasteland. Christ, they're outright calling it the wasteland now. Fucked up world we live in. With that, chapter 4 is complete, and I wonder how on earth we're gonna get that fat retard back to the hangar. After the black screen, Rhonda tasks us with finding our retarded friend while she and Dick sit in the hangar with their thumbs up their asses again. After running through a government blockade, we make it to the museum where Diego is spouting some more Latino babble while Nick begins to rubber band as if he's in a laggy multiplayer game. Once more, the Latinx breaks the laws of physics. We catch up with Diego as he is currently undergoing a mental breakdown for some reason while dressing up in a gay-looking astronaut suit. God damn it, we really don't have time to deal with this shit. Somehow, there's a functioning jetpack on the suit, so this faggot is going to be even harder to hit, wasting even more of my time. Thankfully, you can knock him out of the air if you hit him with a ranged attack during his napalm strike attack. This opens him up to Nick's signature move, dry humping him while shaking him violently. It always works. After straddling Diego and tenderly shaking his head multiple times, we finally finish this boring-ass fight. Diego's jetpack malfunctions on him, knocking him into a wall and magically unlocking the doors in the arena. Nick goes to comfort his gay little friend as he begins crying and starts saying something about the Emperor's New Groove. Pacha? Why does that sound so familiar? He then goes to a conveniently placed museum exhibit on the history of zombies where we see more competent Dead Rising protagonists, Carlito in his Christmas caper explained, and something most shocking. A photo of an outbreak that had happened shortly after the Willamette outbreak. Patient 0 of the outbreak is revealed to have a number tattooed on his neck, just like Nick and Diego. A member of their game seems to have brought the zombie plague into that town and turned. What does this revelation hold for our two young Latinx friends? I don't know, I'm just trying to beat this game and this whole exhibit is reminding me of the previous better games. Nick asks Diego for the keys to the plane only to find that he gave the key to the crust in order to keep his bunghole intact. God damn it, just let me get the fuck out of Los Perdidos. Whatever, let's just go grab that key and end this nightmare. Oh wait, hold on, free Frank statue.
Kill yourself, you fucking
Damn, they must have forgotten to change the batteries in this one. One funny thing to mention is that the government hand-waved Frank's discovery of the government's hand in the Santa Cabeza Christmas catastrophe by claiming he had PTSD. I'd laugh and say how ridiculous it would be that something that big could be so easily waved off at memory hold.
There was a little Spanish flea, a record star, he thought he'd be. He heard of singers like Beatles, the Chipmunks he's seen on TV.
While we're in the area, we make a quick run over to the police station. It looks like the Black Cop from Resident Evil 2 exists in this universe and is locked out of the armory. Good news is that doors aren't opened by asinine puzzles in this world. Bad news is that the key was taken by the mayor's son, so nobody's getting in there. If we help arm him, we'll have a powerful survivor ready for combat to help assist us. We give him a hand grenade and get some riot gear, but as Nick goes outside I remember something. After catching a drug charge during a K-hole in my own home, I was arrested and doomed to unemployment for the rest of my life. So what if I left a dog in a hot car while doing so? It was Catherine's, not mine. I just got stuck with the damn thing after the breakup. Fucking bitch. Fucking nosy ass neighbors. Anyways, Nick, ACAB. Let the pig roast. We abandon this foot soldier of the New World Order and head on out to not Beverly Hills. We reach Beverly Hills to find all of the zombies dead and gaped. Yes, gaped. The Crossed are afoot, and Nick is too afraid to fight them after the events of day 1, so he goes to hide in a nearby yoga studio. Instead of safety or infected rapists, we encounter a man in the midst of a workout. Nick tries to get the man's attention before unfortunately realizing he misgendered this person. They, safe bet I guess, let's go with they. Jerry here is offended that we would use outdated gendered language against him, I mean them. They're working out to take home a female bodybuilding trophy after beating all of the, quote, bio bitches. Nick tries to talk some sense into her. You know what? Nigga works for everybody, right? I think it'll work for both genders and any nonsense in between. This nigga starts gooning over they muscles, and Nick fucks up one more time by misgendering this nigga and pisses them off enough to start a psycho fight. Great. The diversity hire is a turf or something. We're getting the funny yellow $sign on this video, aren't we? This nigga throws 45 plates at Nick while trying to smack him with a barbell. Thankfully, the ball-bustin' blaster does a decent job of stun-locking this nigga. In fact, this nigga is pretty easy to stun-lock. Spamming the heavy attack with the machete does just as well of a job stunning this nigga without wasting valuable ammo for the cum cannon. Unfortunately, this nigga has a bunch of health, so we're gonna be here for a while. Beats a booty hole breaking from the cross at least. Diego joins the fight after running into a wall for 10 minutes, and Nick combines 2 bottles of water to get a green healthy juice. The tink's magic. We're just gonna leave it at that. Nick and Diego prove a competent team as Nick stunlocks the nigga while Diego pops a cap in they ass and they bring us to victory. This nigga starts giving theyself some motivational speaker bullshit as they try to recover their health. The devil decides to do Nick a favor, knocking over the cabinet full of their trophies and crushing this nigga to death. Nick flexes on the nigga, showing that his soul has truly been poisoned by the demonic events he's been involved in. Oh, right, yeah, we gotta fight the Cross for the plane key. The explosive destruction of a supercar dealership sets off the Cross's ambush, but we really don't have the time to deal with this. We've got a day to get everything wrapped up and then to GTFO. Thankfully, the new leader of the Cross is marked with a marker on her HUD. There's a group of them about to ravage a poor woman as we show up to their basketball court. Thankfully, we have access to Molotovs and the cum cannon, so taking out a group of these perverts will be relatively easy. Despite catching Diego in our gonorrhea blast a few times, we beat the Crossed with no issues, grabbing the key and leaving the survivor for the remaining Cross nearby. After crossing the Crossed off our list, we cross the entire map to get back to the hangar. There's a lot of footage of us making our way through the city on foot, but thankfully for you, you get to see nothing but the prime juicy bits of footage where stuff actually happens. We make it to the hangar where Rhonda is defacing our plane with pornography. Thanks for making me work hard to blur that shit out. She's happy to see Nick back, but not so much Diego, but honestly I don't blame her. Fuck Diego. All my homeboys hate Diego. We hit the radio to hear if there's any more news and learn something most terrible. Hey, what's up guys? General Hemlock here. So, yeah, the president was part of the Enclave. Crazy, right? Anyways, it looks like we're gonna have to fight the Enclave here on the East Coast too. So, you know what that means. Fallout 3 in real life. We're gonna be doing the same thing to the DC metropolitan area that we're doing to Los Perdidos. On top of that, I'm now founding the Brotherhood of Steel, and we're gonna take over the government now. Okay, thanks. Bye. Love you. Barbara, how do I turn this? Alright, looks like the only safe place in the US is a state that a Fallout game hasn't taken place in. Rhonda asks us to give her some time while she studies the Fallout wiki to decide what state we're going to land in when we leave. There's a lot of missions available right now, but we don't have a lot of time to waste. Running to and doing these missions killed the last 2 runs, so we're just gonna stay in the area. I run around Almuda, finding the rest of the Frank statues in the area, and finding evidence of a dark ritual involving mixed drinks in a random building. Nectar, Quickstep, Spitfire, Untouchable, Energizer, and Zombie are the only real drinks. Anything else is a mental illness or creation of the devil. That includes Randomizer. It's an evil, evil beverage. After running around and fiddling with my Willy in the far-off corners of Almuda, we head back down to the hangar where Rhonda has decided that we're probably best off in New York. Diego freaks out because New Yorkers are annoying as hell, but it makes sense. Fallout game hasn't happened there yet, and Bethesda likely won't be making another Fallout game until the 2030s. We'll have a chance to run if that's the location for Fallout 5. Anyways, we're gonna need to get some parts for the plane before we could even think about avoiding gay Bethesda Fallout references. Rhonda mentions that she was given the location of the exact parts we need from a man sitting in the back of a random limo that had pulled up, clad in a red and black tuxedo with a goatee, javelina teeth, and a smile meant to deceive. Rhonda immediately knew at first glance that this was a representative of Israel coming to help out a real American like herself. I don't know what Old Scratch is getting to here, Nick, but this suspicious list is our only lead. We take the grueling journey over to Schmeverly Hills, in which we enter the mansion that the Devil's List has led us to. Unfortunately, we enter only to immediately set off a Latinx alarm. Great. The Devil's House of Tricks and Traps is packed to the brim with zombies. We really don't have time for this. Nick, Speedy Gonzalez your way out of this shit. We reach the bedroom where the Latinx alarm controls are located, only to be ambushed by more of the Devil's Squirrel tricks. We really should not have worked for those cultists. After blasting the ambush with some Friesan semen, we managed to turn off the Latinx alarm. What kind of racist ass gringo has a Latinx alarm? Anyways, we play the Devil's games once again, going on a scavenger hunt around the house and finding all of the missing plane parts. All except one. You want to know where that last one is? All the way in Ingleton. Yay. Yeah, we just need a break from this nonsense. We got a call earlier about a dude with a badonkers badass bro cave. And I think that'll be more fun than running around the city like a wiener dog with diarrhea. We head out to the mayoral manor and encounter that one dude from The Hangover. He assumes that because Nick is Mexican, he's a maid. Nick takes offense to this and begins to give him the whole, "While you gringos are in the AC relaxing, we noble Mexicans are selling candy on the side of the road and doing yard work in the hot sun, Ming." The Hangover guy gets tired of Nick's rant and immediately sends anti-Mexican drones to bring about total Latinx death in his mansion. Unfortunately for the psycho, he bought the civilian version of the TikTok drones from Willamette, so those won't be doing much for him. This is a unique psycho fight. You can't attack this sleazy odd nigga directly, as he is behind the biggest enemy of the Latinx people, a locked door or gate. Instead of fighting, you have to dodge gunfire from his drones and disable the multiple Latinx alarms throughout his house. It's a really easy fight. The panels are all marked and the drones aren't too big of a threat. There's even a Frank statue in here for good luck. What's this one say?
The Nick Ramos fanbase is dying. Like this video if you're a true Nicker.
After destroying the final Latinx alarm, we push through these useless ass drones and enter the basement lair of this sad little freak. After seeing a Mexican person in the flesh for the first time, he is sent into cardiac arrest and dies before having a particularly loud post-mortem bowel movement. I honestly forgot what we came in here for. Did we just break into a man's home and scare him into a heart attack? Well, it's not the worst thing we've done together, eh, Nick? Well, after murdering an innocent man just trying to protect his home, I guide Nick through the sea of undead and to the courier service in Ingleton that is holding the final part of the plane. What courier service is this again? The Mojave Express. So tired of all these Fallout references. Who writes this shit? Alrighty, we've got the last of the plane parts and are ready to fly to the Golden Gate Bridge and head up the wrong game. After proving that this bright pink abomination actually starts up, Rhonda begins to say goodbye. Laura Ingram showed up to her in a vision with glowing red eyes and a snake's tongue and told her that she must find her ex-husband in the city instead of leaving. I really don't give enough of a shit about this conservative boomer dumbass, so go ahead. Become an environmental storytelling skeleton for all I care. She says that she must find the dad who stepped out for her biracial kids out there and leaves after a tearful goodbye. I don't know why Nick cares about her. She's done nothing but sit in this hangar and flick the bean metaphorically, I hope. You know what, after the pornographic drawing she put on the plane, I'm not so sure. Well, let's grab the rest of the illegal cult and blow this Nuka-Cola stand. We head outside and... great, Task Force 141's ambush. The fuck, Diego, goddamn. The ambush was a success. We awakened later, restrained in yet another child trafficking dungeon underneath LP. They're gonna be harvesting our organs for Chinese oligarchs to eat during the next deep state function underneath Antarctica, aren't they? It appears that we are in the clutches and crutches of the crippled lady from earlier. Diego begins to call out to John Goodman's character from The Emperor's New Groove in fear, and that puts him first in line on the crippled woman's forced organ harvest fun time. As the surgical laser begins to cut into him, the devil once again gets his due. Demonic laughs fill the room as Diego bursts into bees and snakes, and the room is turned into a scene out of Cabin in the Woods. This allows Nick to break his cuffs, despite the crippled woman saying otherwise, and we're free. After leaving the lab, Nick is stopped by... oh god, The accursed harlot of Willamette, Isabella Keyes. Nick begins to choke her after immediately noticing that she has the same spiritual readings as one would get from looking at a woman who collects healing crystals. Truly the lowest of the low. She mentions that her and Nick are both working for the same guy at this point and begins to spout nonsense about worms and that she can explain more about it later. They're about to hop onto a convenient elevator to safety, but the cripple woman takes control and we're thrown into a game of Resident Evil Resistance. Cripple Lady has set a gauntlet for us to endure within the 24 hours we have left. We're coming close to the end, and if we waste too much time here, it could be curtains for this run. We have to quickly defeat her ultimate ability, Robot Arm, while dodging stage hazards in the arena. Thankfully, it's not actually like Resistance where we would have to gather keycards or something. First arena is easy enough, and the second one, while a little tougher, isn't much harder. Just some zombies to contend with, nothing too bad here. The final one, however, throws fucking explosive barrels at us. Despite tanking gas explosions directly to the face, we are able to beat this mastermind and dance at the exit gate. Nick breaks the laws of physics once more and begins to fly out before being attacked again by the Robot Arm. Unfortunately for Cripple Lady, she's caught in the crossfire and has part of the building and screaming boxcars full of wafer cabinets full of screaming children collapse on her. Good thing she can't feel her legs, or else she'd start feeling the second-degree burns kicking. As Nick escapes, the newly crowned Elder of the Brotherhood of Steel, Elder Hemlock, comes in to save Cripple Lady for some reason. He was an LP the whole time? Whatever. As Nick leaves the Cripple Lady and boxcars full of missing children inside the burning train station, he makes a solemn vow to save his cultist friends and escape the city to plan the death of Todd Howard and the entirety of Bethesda's staff. With that, we're in the home stretch. Last thing we've got to do here is grab Annie and the rest of the cultists from the karaoke bar and then get out of this literal hellhole. We run into the LP Metro, where we are suddenly trapped within when shutters fall over the exit. The cross to get onto the radio and begin saying the words fucky and sucky incessantly while we try to find our way out. We really don't have time for this. Nick manages to use his inexplicable hacking skills to hack the panels open. Once we hit the exit, the cross jump us and begin to threaten to spawn us for the millionth time, but we honestly aren't going to bother here. Nick has got to go save his ran-through cultist Floozy. We reach the karaoke bar to find Garyoki standing guard. What the hell is he doing there? Well, apparently the low-follower, naive, underage e-girls he had been promised turned out to be a sting operation by some Arab YouTuber. His face is all over the news now, and he's a dead man once he leaves LP. He blames Nick for this and has a big dumb retard meltdown.
Brother, this guy stinks!
He gives Nick an ultimatum: kill him to get to Annie, or get him something to live for. I'd eviscerate him here and now if he hadn't mentioned his ex-wife, Rhonda. We can take out two birds with one stone here, I guess. We can get Gary without wasting energy, and we can put this retarded boomer woman out of our life for good. Let's just help this child predator, whatever. I think the most likely place to find our favorite conserva boomer is back in her old Ingleton garage. We head out to Ingleton, reaching the garage to find Rhonda minus one arm. While we were out dodging Crossed and fighting robot arms, she tried to combine a table saw with a Hummer and ended up failing miserably. You see, this is why I kept comboing weapons or vehicles to a minimum, dude. Anyways, there's a Walgreens across the street that we can grab some supplies to stop the bleeding with. Although Task Force 141 is trying to climb up Nick's ass and Rhonda is rapidly bleeding out, this isn't a difficult task. The pharmacy is right across the street, and you can just ignore the 141 guys. Hell, they despawn as soon as you get back to Rhonda. Well, we make it back to Rhonda. After using 5 whole boxes of Paw Patrol Band-Aids on Rhonda, she awakens in a brief rage before calming down at the sight of her favorite cartoon dogs. Nick tries to tell her that he needs her to go with him because we found her ex-husband. She says that she doesn't want him to see her this way, but after lying and saying Bibi Netanyahu himself asked for her to go back to him, she instantly changes her mind. She asks Nick to craft her a prosthetic arm because she still somehow has faith in Nick's dollar store mechanic skills. Are we really gonna let him use a blowtorch? Fine. Nick somehow crafts something that looks like an arm but manages to weld a blowtorch where her hand should be. You know what? It works for now. Just don't point that thing at anyone's face, okay, Rhonda? I don't know how she's going to wipe with this thing. At least she's as happy as can be. Helping Israel and reuniting with her ex-husband? She's on friggin' cloud 9. We also pumped her full of painkillers while we were fixing her arm. Honestly, she might be in a lot of pain in a few hours. Nick just jammed a bunch of metal shit where his stump is. Anyways, after hoofing it from Ingleton back to Schmeverly Hills, we reach the karaoke bar. The two lovebirds have a loving reunion. Gary kisses her hand and shows that he doesn't care about the metal monstrosity on her left arm by kissing it. Holy shit, she just melted his face off. Oh, whatever, he was a pedophile anyways. Let's just get our emo Satanist and get out of here. This is a karaoke bar? It looks more like a strip club. Well, Annie, danger close. After blowing up all of the nearby zombies with a grenade launcher I had picked up at some point, Annie's in the clear. After saving Annie, she's randomly giving Nick the whole bashful and cute bit. Really, dude? You're falling for it? Whatever, Nick, I can't help you with this anymore. She mentions that she's totally single now and that she dated Drake in the past, but they're not together anymore. How long ago was the past? 6 hours ago? Nick's too enamored to care. He got the girl and is home free to escape Fallout in real life. Oh hey, here's the last Frank statue. Let's finish this annoying ass collectathon and hear what this last one has to say.
A lot of time. I'm trapped in a CIA black site. They're using me to farm. There he is. We got him. Get that motherfucker. No, get back.
Well, I'm sure that whole plotline will be handled in our next video. For now, I have to finish this game and get this asshole Nick off of my hands. We've got 17 hours left before thermonuclear annihilation. Plenty of time to fly out of LP, right? Well, we have just a bit of time left, and there's 2 missions that are right next to each other. What's the harm in spending a few hours wrapping up these last 2 missions? We leave Schmeverly Hills and head downtown. I've got a theory about the armory door in the police department that I want to check. The cop earlier tried pulling the door to the armory open, but what if he was trying to open it wrong? Nick gets up to the door and kicks it inwards, opening like a charm. We're hiring DEI cops now, huh? Well, we stock up on LMGs and give Annie one for good measure. Now's the time to wrap up our time in LP. There's a super yacht that had beached at a nearby beach, and Stoner Otis said some fat shit that I'm not even gonna bother trying to type out. I hope he dies in the bombings. Rochelle from Left 4 Dead 2 is being menaced by a zombie. After taking it out, that fucked up little freak pervert loser piece of shit incel from a few days ago shows up in his own mechanic jumpsuit and freaks out. He tells Nick to fuck off because he can handle the zombies and save the girl. In fact, he rips off Nick's name and calls himself Kick now. Really? Ripping Nick off? Nick? That's the Dead Rising protagonist you rip off of all people? He then attempts to make his own combo weapon, a ball of sharp objects. You know what? That's on the same level as taping a circular saw to his sledgehammer. It's just as retarded, but it really is on Nick's level. If Frank or Chuck had been the one to encounter him a few days ago, he'd probably be a somewhat competent threat. Kick's envy gets the better of him and he attacks Nick. As with most of the psycho fights in 3, it's just a slog where you fight a bullet sponge. Kick attacks by swinging his ball at us and throwing sharp objects at us. You can piss him off and open him up to attack by crafting a combo weapon, but I feel like 2 poorly crafted weapons so close to each other like this would somehow cause a singularity of retardation and destroy the universe as we know it. So we just gotta do what we can to kill the psycho with the highest amount of health we've fought so far. Annie proves to be damn near useless when she hardly shoots him and only tries to hit him with the butt of her gun. Maybe I should let all of these idiots fry in a mushroom cloud send-off. Whatever, we're almost done with this shit. After Kick kicks Annie off of her feet, he falls to his knees after using up the last of his energy. He begs for mercy as zombies begin to surround him. Against my better judgment, I save this fucked up little freak. Rochelle also gets a save, and we head down the street to get the final survivor that we're going to save in this run. I take my party to the nearby amphitheater, nearly dying like a moron to a crowd of zombies. To be real, if I had died right here, I might have just scrapped the run. Dead Rising 3 is particularly bland to me, and I don't know if I could do this last part of the game again. After belly aching like a little crybaby, we get into the amphitheater. Capcom Vancouver is just taunting me now, aren't they? There's a man in drag dressed as the hot, washed-up MILF pop star from the last game. He's blasting her screeching music and is hearing her voice in her head. A mentally ill man is dressing up in women's clothing? Gosh darn golly gee willikers, say it isn't so. Why are we doing this mission again? Do we really need the PP from this? Unfortunately, you can't kill survivors like in the first 2 games, so I guess we're just gonna have to do the stupid-ass Troon mission. Just have to destroy the speakers blasting the hag screeching in order to quiet the voices in this freak's head. We don't have time to execute this dude. We're just gonna bring him back with us to the plane and throw him out when we get clear of Los Perdidos. We run back to Almuda, blowing up a government checkpoint and taking a shit in a porta potty in the meantime. Well, here we are. We're finally back at the hangar. For the love of God, start that plane up and get me out of this nightmare. Isabella and Drake show up, sans the rest of the cult. Annie asks where the rest of her demon-worshipping buddies are, but Drake begins to give some lame excuse about how they couldn't make it. Devil told me to make them do a ritual. You know how it is, baby girl. He runs off to go message underage girls on Instagram or something while Isabella approaches Nick. She's a little confused. What the hell does "is that what they call you now" mean? Annie immediately begins to start yelling at Isabella for getting too close to her man. Despite the catfight slowly brewing, Nick tells Isabella to just spit out whatever the hell she has to say. She starts going on about Santa Cabeza and the Christmas catastrophe and Carlito's Christmas rituals to infect orphans with the zombie plague. Yeah, we played Dead Rising, we know the whole thing. Any new info? She mentions that Carlito wanted a final failsafe in case the Christmas spirit tried anything funny on him. An orphan with the cure in their blood. Orphan 12. Surprise, surprise, Nick is the key to curing the zombie outbreak. Isabella insists that we leave now, but Drake yells for help outside. This won't end well, will it? Outside the hangar, Task Force 141 set up a trap to capture everyone here. After Ghost jobs once again to Nick, Drake reveals himself to be the mole that set this whole ambush up. There's a reward for Nick's head, and Drake wants that reward money to join the Deep State and finally get invited to an adrenochrome party in Antarctica. He used the souls of the rest of the cult in a sacrifice to give him the power to control heavy machinery with his mind and begins to attack us with a crane. Thankfully, this crane was created by the same company that made Jenna's, whatever the hell her name was, giant mech at the end of Off the Record. Giant glowing video game weak points litter the whole thing. Despite the crane's crazy high health pool, destroying a weak point wipes out a lot of that health. Speaking of wiping out health, Kick takes a heavy amount of damage. I feel bad for the little freak and try to give him an entire bottle of sleeping pills to heal, but the crane's claw lands on him and flattens him. Drake really couldn't have taken out the drag queen. God damn it. Despite Task Force 141 joining in and Drake's demonic crane powers, we manage to defeat the giant metal beast. We free Annie and the accursed Isabella, but get jumped by Drake. He's hell-bent on getting that bounty, even at the cost of his cult. And Nick cries about how he betrayed his cult, but I mean, honestly, is it really a bad thing for a bunch of Satan worshippers to die? Whatever. Time to take Drake and his gay mall ninja zombie knife out for good. You can stun him easily when he goes to do a charge attack. That'll open him up for a stun, and you can grapple him and beat his pedophile ass. This entire fight is essentially that scene from Scary Movie. We finish off yet another underwhelming boss fight when we hit Drake so hard in the stomach that his gallbladder bursts. Drake is slowly dying, but Nick has other plans. He calls upon the demons that have been helping him and has them drop a massive shipping container on Drake. Annie is totally down to take Nick's burrito after killing her ex-boyfriend, much to Nick's delight. Elder Hemlock tries calling a dead Task Force 141 member, only getting the attention of the crew of 6 Satanists. Nick picks up the phone, using his demonic powers to mimic the voice of Ghost. Elder Hemlock, sir, we need another day before the Fallout bombing. Makarov has joined the illegal cult. Hemlock is annoyed that Ghost is making a Modern Warfare reference instead of a Fallout one, but allows us more time before the bombing starts. Excellent. Nick and Annie have a heartwarming moment between 2 shitbird lovebirds as the screen goes black. Soon after, a van suddenly pulls up and out pops a surprise special guest star. Chuck Green himself pops out and reveals that he was the one looking for Annie, real name Katie, the whole time. Wait, so she survived Fortune City? Shut up. I'm trying to figure out the whole story. So we were under the assumption that his daughter had died during the Fortune City outbreak, right? Oh, wait, no, she must have ran away shortly before the events of Fortune City. Chuck's body was never found after we defeated him back then, so it makes sense that he'd still be around. I guess it all makes... Wait a minute. This game takes place in 2021, right? If Katie/Annie was 6 or 7 years old in 2011, that means she's around 16 or 17 years old now. She mentions that she had previously dated Drake. Drake in this game looks like he's in his mid to late 20s. Even if they had dated 2 or 3 years prior, that means a 20-year-old was dating a girl who was either 13 or 14 years old. Jesus Christ, he really was a pedophile. Wait a minute, how old is Nick? Between ages 18 and 23. Nick, dude, if you were born in 2003, you might be okay, but if you're 23, get the fuck away from this bitch. Not only is she a demonic emo ran through a slut, but she's underage. Do you know how bad this looks? God damn it, what mess did I get myself into? Alright, I wash my hands of Nick once this game's over. Let's just get on the plane and... What the fuck? Gary's still alive? He got his face melted off like 4 hours ago. No, I'm not buying this shit. There's something incredibly wrong with this game. Nick has been running around and doing the devil's bidding the whole time. Satan himself even shows up to characters off screen to bring us stuff to help out the gang. Shit, Nick even used demonic powers to kill Drake. And now we're supposed to believe that Gary survived the flamethrower to the face with no burns whatsoever? This is obviously a ploy by the devil to pull some sort of dark miracle to bring more people onto his side. Happy ending my ass, this is a demonic attempt to try to influence the audience. On top of that, there's a lot of weird subliminal shit that the game does that makes me begin to think that there's something more to this than telling a story about a Latinx with demonic powers. The entire game takes place in the city of Los Perdidos, right? What does that translate into? The Lost Ones? Is this supposed to represent purgatory or maybe even hell? What about the psychopaths? They represent lost souls that had fallen to the 7 deadly sins. Don't think I didn't notice that. The Chinese dude was wrath, the organ-stealing doctor was greed, the obese creature in the buffet was probably gluttony, or maybe lust if you find yourself to be of a certain skin complexion, the nigga in the gym was pride, and that sad little free kick was envy. All of these lost souls were vanquished by the supposedly virtuous Nick, but let's take a look at Nick, shall we? The game casts him as the hero, but is he? Let's take a look at the similarities between Nick and a certain person mentioned in the Book of Revelations. Number 1, Nick and this person worship Satan. This is obvious based off of his interactions throughout the game. Number 2, he commits blasphemy against God by aligning with the satanic illegal cult. And the other 3 parts don't fit as well, but stay with me, this is important. The Antichrist is going to come down and be shown as the world's savior. Nick has the cure to the zombie plague in his blood, a hero who defeats evil and brings about salvation, yet secretly worships the devil behind closed doors. I'm gonna say it here. Nick Ramos, protagonist of Dead Rising 3, is the Antichrist. He's had help from the devil, right? He's permeated the entirety of Los Perdidos and is going to bring about his world. That's strange. The government is going to turn Los Perdidos into a nuclear hole in the ground to be more like Bethesda Fallout? Guess what? Who's the face of Bethesda? Who's known for telling non-stop lies? Todd Howard. Guess who's the father of lies? Satan. The proof is right here in front of your eyes, folks. Todd Howard is the devil and is using his son/daughter, Nick Ramos, to bring hell on earth. Now you're wondering, what do you mean by son/daughter? Isn't Nick a man? Well, dear viewer, I'm glad you asked. Nick is supposedly orphan number 12. When we look back at the list of orphans Isabella showed us during Dead Rising 1, we'll find that orphan 12 is under the name Lisa Jackson, a female name. Could Nick be transgender? Let's think about a famous demon that has both male and female characteristics, Baphomet. Nick Ramos, by being transgender, is worshipping a demon. Nick will prove himself as a hero to the population. He'll defeat the embodiments of the 7 deadly sins and prove himself to everyone as the supposedly righteous hero. On top of that, he'll become the world's new savior by miraculously bringing the cure to the zombie plague to the world and win everybody's love. All according to the plans of his father, the devil, Todd Howard. I can't believe I had a hand in this. God, forgive me. Oh, wait, yeah, I'm still doing a YouTube challenge run. Okay, well, we finished the main story. As always, it's time for us to get balls deep into overtime mode. Before we can take off and Nick can begin world domination, we hear Elder Hemlock begin to start LARPing once more over the radio. Isabella tells us that he's going to use the zombies mutated by demonic possession to create the ultimate weapon of mass destruction. Like hell we're gonna let the Brotherhood of Steel have access to it. I can't let Bethesda have an excuse to include them in yet another Fallout game where they don't belong. Nick stops the plane and hops out as Chuck follows alongside him, ready to defeat Elder Hemlock and redeem himself. Redemption is not coming for you if you choose to help these people, Chuck. Whatever, who knows what dastardly deeds he got up to between Frank kicking his ass in 2011 and now. Elder Hemlock's vertibird looks like it's headed straight for Ingleton, so it looks like that's where we'll be heading. You run there on foot, grabbing some automatic shotguns which will come in handy later, while Chuck rambles on about some dumb broad he met named Stacy. He met her during the Fortune City outbreak? I have no recollection of a chick named Stacy. Chuck must still be crazy. At least he's not ripping our face off with a motorcycle this time. We get to Ingleton and stand atop the roof of the local movie theater, allowing us to spy on Elder Hemlock and see what evil machinations he has in store. Cripple Lady survived, still wanting to find Nick and take the cure from his body. Elder Hemlock says that she's having a woman moment and that collecting the demon-possessed zombies would make a fine way to clear cities across America to have his own gay Fallout-themed country. Cripple Lady shakes her head and says that she thinks that Fallout is gay now. This angers Hemlock, but then out of nowhere he tries to pull some riz on this crippled old bag. Hemlock fails the speech check and dries up Cripple Lady's cooch. Elder Hemlock reveals himself to be an honest-to-God Sigma male when he grabs Cripple Lady by the neck and throws her off of the roof of the building that they're on. Baby, I love you almost as much as Preston Garvey loves to send me to help settlements.
Fallout is gay.
Damn, Hemlock, I owe you an apology. I wasn't familiar with your game. Still can't let you bring the Fallout TV show into reality, though. It looks like he's begun collecting the demon zombies to use them later. We have to stop him before he manages to find a way to make a Fallout reference with them. Overtime mode is not a collectathon this time, thank God. I had enough of the collecting shit with the Frank statues. If anything, we're actually stopping a collectathon. Elder Hemlock is flying around the city in his vertibird, sending out particularly non-Fallout looking drones to collect enough of the demon zombies to use them for his own purposes. In order to progress in overtime mode, you'll have to follow him around town and knock out a total of 60 drones. If Elder Hemlock collects enough of the demon zombies, it's game over and America will become a gay post-apocalyptic theme park for some autistic old man. We knock out some of his drones in Ingleton, downtown, and Schmeverly Hills, all the while Chuck rambles about shit that may or may not have happened. After destroying the last of the drones, Hemlock calls back the drones in his failure. Nick has had enough of this bullshit and grabs onto a drone and gets carried up to the Elder's vertibird. Inside, Hemlock is bullying Ghost for wearing such a dumb mask. Nick suddenly comes in, kills Ghost in one punch, and crashes the vertibird, stopping the collection of the demon zombies for good. There's only one loose end now. We've got to fight Hemlock. He's wounded, shirt ripped up. Grandpa? Wait, no, never mind, it's Hemlock. Grandpa's been gone for 20 years now. Thank God. Anyways, here we are, the final boss. Elder Hemlock is armed with a grenade launcher and is ready to kick Nick's ass for ruining his plans for Fallout in real life. We've got to get up close and personal before he stun locks us with his explosives. If you get close enough to him, he'll put away the launcher and fight you mano-a-mano. Thankfully, Nick was cowardly enough to bring weapons into the arena, giving us an advantage against the Elder. Apparently, hitting a wounded old man in the back with a heavy slash from a broadsword will stun him and leave him open for a grapple attack. This is similar to the Drake fight earlier. Instead of throwing shit at him, just hit him in the back. Despite Nick getting his upper spine and skull shattered in a suplex, we managed to defeat this wounded unarmed old man with the big-ass sword we had smuggled to the arena. This is the end, Hemlock. We give off one final exchange. You think this will stop Fallout from happening in real life? War will continue happening, and war never changes. War may never change, gringo, but America's racial demographics will. Nick kicks Hemlock into the blades of the vertibird, jibbing him and finally ending all of the annoying Fallout references for good. Where the hell did that demographic line come from, though? Whatever, it's all finally over. Nick calls Annie and lets her know that it's over. They set up a date at the best bodega in New York before Nick gets up and gets picked up from the final boss arena. With that, we've defeated Hemlock and his Brotherhood of Steel. America is free from his tyranny and we've saved democracy. Alright, cool, I guess. Whatever. With that wrapped up, we all get back onto the plane. Time to get the hell out of Los Perdidos. Goodbye, Stoner Otis. Goodbye, Crossed. We're home free. New York, here we come. We've got Annie, Isabella,
Cock-ass!
I mean,
Fucking dick!
Chuck, and Nick on the Freedom Express. Wait, hold on a sec. Nick's in the pilot seat. Remember how he tried to drive the hearse? Nick, land the plane. Nick, stop the plane. Nick, stop the plane now! Well, once more we've come to the end of yet another Come Dungeon Gaming Challenge run. I'd like to thank you, the viewer, for reaching the end of this video. We hope you've enjoyed the semi-filtered autism on display here. As always, we here at Come Dungeon Gaming do it all for you. A special thanks to these fine individuals that have followed us on Twitter. Follow us there for more updates on videos and whatever nonsense I decide to post. If you enjoyed this hour or so of mental illness, please give us a like, comment, and subscribe. The dark forces behind the algorithm are appeased when you do this, and it gives us rewards when you do so. Look forward to more insanity in the coming months. We've got 2 more videos in the Dead Rising CDG continuity coming up, and we hope you're excited for that. This is Pig from Come Dungeon Gaming. Thank you all very much for watching, and have a good night.
Starting an outbreak to find the immune one? It makes no sense. It will kill thousands, including the orphan. No.
It's the only way, Marion. I know he's out there somewhere. Those lives are inconsequential compared to the cure. That's why I've continued to work with you. That's why I've stayed here, voluntarily, to find a cure. In an outbreak, the orphan will realize his immunity and come forward, and your friend Hemlock might find that convenient as well.
Oh, you're jealous of my work. You always have been. You're so desperate to find your mark.
You think you walk again? You think you'll be cured?
Shut up! You're lucky I didn't take your legs as well. If they hadn't stopped me...
I will be the one who goes down in history as the creator of the cure. Me, and me alone, not you. I don't care what I have to do to find it. I don't give a shit about the money. I'm going to make up for what my brother did and restore the good name of our family. Be a hero for once and for all time. Not that Frank West, not this Chuck Green. He left me to die once. They will all pale in my shadow, and I will find the cure.